All right, today we're cracking open the modern hotel playbook. We're going to get right into the strategies that really separate the true winners from everyone else in this incredibly competitive world of hospitality. So let's start with a big question. What actually separates a good hotel from a truly great one? I mean, is it just about the fancy sheets or the super fast Wi-Fi? Or is it something way deeper? Something that's woven into the very DNA of how the place is run? Well, when you boil it all down, every hotel is in this constant balancing act. It's like walking a tightrope. On one side, you have to deliver an absolutely unforgettable experience for your guests. But on the other, you've got the nonstop pressure of the bottom line. And if you get that balance wrong, even the most beautiful hotel can just completely fall apart. So here's what we're going to break down. We've got four key pillars to this modern playbook. First, we'll talk about the core philosophy, then how to actually measure success. After that, we'll get into who does what, and we'll wrap up with a really fascinating look at an innovative deal that could be the future of the industry. Okay, let's dive into pillar one, the quality first philosophy. Now, this isn't just some corporate buzzword. It's the absolute foundation that every single successful hotel is built on. It's all about creating a culture where excellence is the standard. The operating system behind this whole philosophy is something called Total Quality Management, or TQM. The key thing to get about TQM is that it covers everything. It's not just about, making the service a little better or the rooms a little cleaner. It's a total, holistic approach, improving your people, your processes, everything, all to get that competitive edge. And this idea has been around for a long time. The hotel legend Ellsworth Statler famously said, "The guest is always right." Now, that wasn't just a clever tagline. It was one of the first real expressions of this guest-obsessed mindset that is right at the heart of TQM. It all starts and ends with the guest. And this really sums up the end goal perfectly. See, TQM isn't about just meeting what guests expect. It's about getting ahead of their expectations. It's a proactive game, making sure your hotel isn't just playing catch-up, but is always one crucial step ahead of everybody else. All right, on to pillar two, measuring success holistically. Because look, a great philosophy is wonderful, but if you can't measure it, you really can't manage it. This is where we get into the nitty-gritty of the hotel's performance dashboard. So with that quality-first mindset in place, how do you actually track if it's working? Well, you use a fantastic tool called the Balanced Scorecard. It's designed to give you a full 360-degree picture of the hotel's health, so you don't get that tunnel vision of only looking at the profits. Now, it's called Balanced for a reason. It looks at four totally different but connected areas. Of course, you've got the financials, your revenue, your costs. But just as important is the customer perspective, things like satisfaction scores and online reviews. Then you look at your internal processes, like how fast is your front desk? And finally, learning and growth. Are you training your staff? Are they happy? Are you innovating? They all feed into each other. Let's look at a key metric from that financial box, RevPAR, which stands for revenue per available room. This number is huge. It basically tells you how much money you're making from your rooms, period, whether they're sold or not. It's a super powerful way to see how you're doing with both occupancy and your pricing. Now for the customer side, one of the most important KPIs is the Net Promoter Score, or NPS. It's a really simple metric that asks guests how likely they are to recommend your hotel. A high score here is gold because it means you're not just making guests happy, you're turning them into champions for your brand. And internally, you need goals that have a real, direct impact on the guest. A perfect example is setting a target for check-in. Aiming for under 5 minutes, that's something you can measure, you can train for, and it makes a massive difference to a guest's first impression of your hotel. And finally, learning and growth. Seriously, investing in your team is investing in your business's future. Setting a clear goal for training, say 2 to 4 hours a month per person, ensures your staff are always getting better. And guess what? That feeds right back into better service and smoother operations. It's all connected. Which brings us right to pillar 3, strategy versus daily operations. Okay, so we have our philosophy, we have our measurement system. Now we need to talk about the people who are actually making it all happen. It is so critical to understand the two key roles here. First, you have the asset manager. Think of them as playing the long game. They're looking at it from an investment perspective, asking, how do we make this building worth more money 5 years from now? Then you have the property manager. They are on the ground in the trenches. Their focus is purely operational, the day-to-day, keeping guests happy, making sure everything is running smoothly. Both are absolutely essential, but they are looking at the business through very different lenses.
And that leads us to our final pillar, which is a really cool peek into the future of how hotel deals get done. Pillar 4, the rise of the Manchisize. This is where strategy, operations, and ownership all come together in a really clever new way.
So, what on earth is a manchise? I know it's a funny name, but it's a combination of management and franchise. It's a hybrid deal. It starts out as a normal management agreement, where a big brand runs the hotel for the owner. But, and this is the genius part, it has a clause built right in that lets the owner convert it to a franchise agreement later on, giving them the keys to run it themselves. The advantage here is that it works for both sides. For the owners, it gives them a clear path to take control of their own property without some ugly, expensive legal battle. It can even make the hotel worth more when they go to sell it. And for the operators, the big brands, it lowers their risk of getting fired and even opens up new ways to make money.
Now, hearing all that, it sounds like a perfect solution, right? A total win-win. So that begs the question, if this is such a great idea, why isn't every single hotel deal a franchise? Why is it still kind of a rare thing in some parts of the world?
Well, the reality is there are some hurdles. Some operators just prefer the certainty of a long, traditional management contract. And you have to admit, negotiating both a management and a franchise deal at the same time is more complicated and can cost more upfront. And in a lot of places, people just aren't familiar with the model yet, so it takes time to get everyone up to speed. So let's wrap this all up. When you put all these pieces together, you see it's not just a random collection of tactics. It's a whole new, cohesive vision for what a modern hotel can be. So to recap the modern hotel playbook, it's really these 4 steps. Step 1, you start with a quality-first philosophy as your foundation. Step 2, you use the balanced scorecard to measure what really matters. Step 3, you get crystal clear on who's handling strategy and who's handling operations. And Step 4, you get creative and innovate with flexible deals like the Manchise. There's that great quote from Victor Hugo, and it really feels like it captures this moment perfectly. For the hotel industry to keep growing, to keep delighting guests, it has to evolve. And models like the Manchise, built on top of a solid, strategic playbook, well, that might just be the powerful idea whose time has finally come.